Are you looking to take your ride to the next level and go places others only dream about? Look no further than Warren's ZEON 10S Platinum winch. Stay tuned to learn more. All right, let's take a closer look at the winch now. All right, so the first thing I want to point out is that this is the ZEON 10S Platinum. Now the 10S is a good indicator of our pull rating. 10S meaning I can pull about 10,000 pounds with this winch. If I had a 12S, 12,000 pounds, so on and so forth. Now, another one of the things that you probably have already noticed, but if you haven't, this actually is lacking a manual clutch. Now, the manual clutch used to allow us to turn it, and that would allow us to free spool, anything along those lines. So the manual clutch is handy, but that has now all been integrated into their wireless remote. Now the wireless remote allows us to do a few different things, and we'll talk about that in greater detail later in the video, but just as a brief little covering, what it allows us to do allows us to open spool, so we can open spool without having to get out of our Jeep, especially if we're in the mud or something and it's freezing cold outside. That's a hassle to do, so the remote saves you there. And it also allows you to control up to 2 accessory lights, or accessories in general, with the same remote. So that's a great new feature that they've added, a great tool to a already great winch. Okay, so a few of the upgrades that they've done to their winch overall has actually improved a few different things. We have now a 20% faster line speed than we had before. We've also improved the efficiency and durability of the winch thanks to those upgrades as well. Those upgrades have been done to the gears and things along those lines. All right, now let's talk about the construction of the winch overall. Now this is made of aluminum. It's a high quality aluminum. It has a black matte finish on it, and all of the fasteners are stainless steel. And this has actually been tested up to 400 hours on salt spray testing. So salt spray is a very corrosive material, and what that allows us to learn is that even in a beach environment or somewhere where humidity is a big concern, this winch is going to stand the test of time. Now on the same token, this has also been rated for IP68 waterproofing standards. IP68 is a very rigorous standard that this new Warren winch, the new 10S Platinum, succeeds. Now let's talk about the spool really quick, or the drum. Now the drum is a very large diameter drum, and it's made of an alloy material. So not only is it strong, but it's very lightweight. And lightweight for winches, especially if you have an aftermarket bumper, weight is a big concern, and they're thinking about that in their designs, as you can see with this drum. Now on top of the drum, you can't see it now unfortunately, but we'll talk about this when we do the full install, but there is a rope anchor on the drum itself. So when we go to spool our rope in, that anchor allows us to do that spooling job much easier because it gives our rope something to anchor to as we begin to turn it in to the drum. Okay, last but not least, we're going to talk about the cone brake. Now the cone brake is mechanical and it's automatic. So that allows you to control your winching in the environment that you're going to be in much easier. It's going to give you just a greater control over your winching jobs when you need to be having that more control over it. All right, with all that said, let's move on to accessories. Okay, now on to accessories. First up, we have the bag of documentation, owner's manual, stuff like that, as well as a decal. We have our bag of hardware here, as well as a hook, so that's going to be included in there, in that package. Next up, we have our advanced wireless remote. Now this is pretty neat. As you can see on the Platinum here, they've removed the manual clutch altogether, and that's now all been incorporated into the wireless remote here. So you can control free spool mode, as well as 2 additional accessories as well. So if you have lights wired to the same wiring harness, then you can control your lights, your accessory lights, through your remote as well, which is a pretty neat feature. Okay, let's move on to the ballistic sleeve. Now the ballistic sleeve is what's going to protect your rope, which we'll talk about in a second, from the drum, the steel drum. After a certain amount of time, your rope can start to fray and get worn down by the steel, and this is what this is designed to protect against. Onto our fair lead. So this is the matte aluminum fair lead. There are other options for your fair lead that you can buy separately. This edition comes with the winch. It's a nice high quality piece, very lightweight. I mean, super lightweight, and it's gonna look great when we get everything installed and on the winch. Next up, we have our Spydura. This is synthetic rope. Now this synthetic rope is interesting because, as you can see, it's multicolored. So you have black and you have red. Now when you install this onto the winch, what that's designed to do is when you begin to get low on rope, as you go really far, it's an indicator. So when you get into the red, you know you're kind of low on rope. And this is a very high quality, strong rope. And I mean, Warren trusts that with their winches, so you can too. All right, let's take a look at the Epic winch hook now. Now the Epic winch hook is made of a ultra strong forged steel, and it's gonna stand up against the test of time. It's rated for 10,000 pounds. Now this is also coated in an e-coat material, so it's going to stand up against abrasion, any kind of wear and tear that you're going to get out on the trail, and it's also got an integrated beverage opener. All right, so the Epic Shackle, this specific model is rated for 18,000 pounds. It, like the hook, also has the e-coat material applied to it to protect it against abrasion or any of the wear and tear on the road. and it's also made of that high quality, very strong forged steel. Okay, let's take a look at our Epic Snatch Block. So snatch blocks are designed to improve the pulling power of your winch, and when used properly, this can double the pulling power of your winch. Now this particular kit is rated for a 12,000 pound winch, and it's also made of that high quality forged steel that the other accessories were made out of, so it's very strong and very durable. And it's also coated with the E-coat material as well, like the others. Now the E-coat allows us to remain pretty much scratch free and protect us against those abrasions and things you might get on the trail, such as wear and tear. All right, let's take a look at our advanced remote control window mount. So the window mount is going to allow us, and with the new 10Ss that you saw earlier, the 10S Platinum, the manual clutch has been removed. So you have to have your remote to do any spooling, winch in, winch out. So they've designed this to be able to attach to any window in your vehicle or any non-porous material so that you can always have your remote in arm's reach. So I have our worn ZEON winch installed now, and I do want to mention that this does fit inside of our bumper, but I want you to take a note of something. So we have the bulk of the winch inside of the lower part of the bumper, but up top here you see the power part of the winch that's going to allow us to control everything wirelessly, and I'll show you that in just a second. But this all packed in nice and neatly. It took us about an hour to do the installation, so really pretty straightforward. The cool thing is though about this particular winch is that we have this wireless remote. Now the wireless remote allows us, because there's no way for us to get in there to free spool or anything like that, this gives us full control over our winch. So if I click in here to my winch, it'll tell me to hold down for a couple seconds, and then it's going to open this new interface where I can open up the free spool if I wanted to do that, or if I want to do retract or extend my line a little bit. I have full control over that very easily through this remote. Another cool thing about this is that I also have control over my accessory lights that I've paired to the same wiring. So if I want to control these cannons here, I can control those with these options for lights very, very easily. Guys at home, if you want any more details about this worn winch, please check the description below. All that's going to be listed out for you there, a part number, and even a dealer locator, so you can find this ZEON winch at a dealer near you. Thanks again for tuning in. This has been Total Truck Centers in the Garage.